welcome back to Tools and Track. No, I haven't, don't worry. Right, what's going on? So you'll see there's an MR2 in the ramp. No, it's not mine. So fear not, it's not like we're getting massive amounts of insane projects that we're never going to finish. The plan for this new unit was always going to be slightly Tools and Track and slightly something else. We're now back to where the plan should be, which is I've got my studio at the back where we do all the filming, and there's a wee space for Noisy Boy at the front of it, just for parking. The Impreza, which we've more or less wrapped up, everything that's going to happen to it now is outside the unit. It's not a project car anymore, it doesn't need to live in here, and it never was going to, because if it lives in here, it's never going to be a car that I drive, like that. So this is it. What's now happened is we've done the Volvo and that's paid for a ramp, which is great. You'll note there's an MR2 on it as well. We have some vehicular debt to clear at the moment. This is, I think, a Rev 1, possibly. It's a non-turbo. It's a nice looking, nice presented little MR2, but it needs work, like almost every MR2 will at this age. Now, we've got a wee list that's stuck to the dashboard, we're going to check through it, and I'm going to show you guys what's involved with bringing an MR2 back to life with quite possibly the mildest restoration known to man. Give you a look around what an MR2 should look like when it doesn't have a massive, not Ferrari body kit on it. About that debt I was talking about. Well, mechanical debt, in a definition, is an expression I've come up with when you've got more than one car. So let's say a fleet. Now, a percentage of those probably won't run. Those are debt, you know, debt to a running fleet. So you can have deliberate debt where you've made a project car and it's just not on the road, or you can have accidental debt. Now, next door we've met Craig. He has what can only be described as accidental debt. I'm going to pass over to him and he's going to explain what's happened to his R33 Skyline.
Yeah, it was originally grey, and then I've just always liked them in white. It wasn't a car that I went out looking for. It was one that followed me around. I seen it in Barhead and it was biffed in the rear quarter. The next time I seen it, it was biffed in both quarters. The next time I seen it, the engine had blown on it, and then about 3 weeks later I bought it. So that's how it came about. I stuck a fuel filter on it, a set of plugs, and away it went. But it's never been tuned. It's got a filter, an exhaust, it had a boost controller on it, I took it off. It's never been tuned in any sort of way. I was always going to do that later on, until now. The ramp collapse on top of it is the short story. The actual whole side failed. The thing about it was a bit weird because it was due for, maintenance repair for the other ramp, and then about 2 weeks before that it failed. But luckily nobody was working on it, nothing was in it. The car it was on, it was an MR2, so it was quite light, so that was kind of lucky. So it's only caught the bonnet, the windscreen and the front bumper and the headlight. It seems that everything in Skyline world is 400 quid for any one part. So the windscreen, second hands, 350, 390, £100 delivery because it's glass. The bonnet I can get for about 400 quid, the bumper, rep, a couple of £100 quid, a headlight, maybe 300 quid, something like that. So they are kind of getting a wee bit pricey for parts. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to keep it, whether I'm going to thing it. It really just depends. I'm in two minds about it, but I'm maybe just in 2 minds about it because it's, because of the kind of state it's in. Yeah. It's never lived up to my 300ZX. My 300ZX, although it was a bit more work done on it, a bit more tuned, a bit more modified, it was definitely quicker. I just feel it doesn't feel the same as that. I mean, even small parts like glass and bits and bobs, and yeah, they really are getting a bit silly. But the whole JDM scene, I think, silly. Doesn't matter whether you've got Honda, whatever it is, Nissan, and then of course the problem is with these is you've got a world demand for parts. You've got countries all over the world looking for parts for these. So yeah, fingers crossed I can get it repaired for reasonable money.
Yeah, not good. So I think what we'll do is try and help this man get back on his feet again. Why? Well, A, he's a mate, but B, I think you guys might want to see this. After all, It's not every day we get to work on a Skyline, is it? So, all I'm going to do first is get this MR2 back on its feet, get out of the way, clear ourselves some space, and then we're going to look at just how bad this Skyline really is. So yeah, first big hurdle, that guy you'll always find in typical old Japanese car nonsense. There it is. Oh, it's not even bright enough. There's no chance that that brake union's coming out. So, I'm not going to mess around, I've managed to get it loose. So we're just going to take the whole brake line out, because it's probably due it. Well, that's definitely something you don't see often. Actual boot plastics. I mean, ordinarily I'd be impressed, but now I need to rip them all out. Right, we've got the union off. We just need to feed it through the hole with what's left of the hose still attached to it. Here's a wee top tip. Whilst we're dicking around, to stop the entire brake system leaking all over the boot floor, I've made just a length of straight pipe with a union on it, stuck it into the hole that we've left, and as long as this is above the level of the master cylinder, it'll stop all the fluid emptying out. So, that'll buy us some time until we make the proper one. Right, anti-roll bars on, brakes are on. I know we've got a lot more to do throughout the rest of the car, but it's all about those little bits of victories. So I'm going to stick the wheel back on. That's 1 out of 3 sides done. And for those JDM aficionados that are wondering, they're off an FTO. Look pretty good, don't they? That is what a dead wheel bearing sounds like. Add the shopping baskets. Wheel bearings, as we have covered many a time on this channel, can be a complete and utter pain in the arse. Luckily, when there isn't a driving hub involved, they are somewhat easier. Now, those of an older generation will be familiar with the old spindle type wheels. That is, you'll have a hub with a spindle that comes out, 2 bearings, and then the actual rotating hub that goes over the top. This is slightly different, possibly even slightly easier. Really, it's just slightly reversed. So this hub here will have the spindle built into it. It comes through into a bearing race here, and this cap in the back covers the big nut. So what we'll do is we'll crack this cap off and see just how much pain's going to be involved here. Most modern wheel bearings have this same design. You'll see here there is a circlip, a pretty meaty one as well. There we go. So this guy we will need to pinch and take out, because the remainder of the bearing has to come out this way. So that's our next task. Love that noise! Thankfully the back end doesn't really need much. The back calipers are obviously, in typical MR2 fashion, completely seized, but we're just going to take them off, put new pads and maybe new discs on, but these are just going to go away to an overhaul, and it's going to be a third party because it's a hateful job and, well, you know, it's in budget. So picking the car up, I found that it's already been half stripped, so we're just going to get the calipers off completely, wrestle the handbrake cable for about 20 to 30 minutes, because they never come out, and then that's this done for the moment. Now I've put the caliper on with a new line and just cable tied it to the coilover for the moment. However, the bearing that has arrived for this hub is obviously wrong because we can make progress, but suppliers can't. So I'm going to just leave this, put a pin in it for the moment. It's just waiting for a hub carrier, so once that arrives, we can get the wheel on this side. Now for the backs. We're all stripped and ready to go. Just got to get the rear discs, pads and carriers delivered, and we're ready to rock and roll here. So, what else is on this to-do list? As you can probably imagine, I thought it wise, seeing as how we've went as far as we can with this today, not to leave it up there, just in case.
I think it's a terrible car. Right, and I think
Back to the scene of the crime. Last job on the to-do list is bleeding the brakes, for which we need a very smartly dressed helper. I mean, what's the story with this?
I was away at a meeting.
Ah, okay. A meeting. That's cryptic as fuck. Love it. A meeting about things. I seen a man about a dog. This man's going to jump in and we're going to do all four corners, and hopefully that will be the end of this saga. This is handy, we've got blue LED. That's a pretty positive result. One car off of the mechanical debt list. That MR2 is going to go back to its owner and it's going to clear up a parking space, or more importantly, a ramp space. Now we can get the 33 in and start properly examining how bad this damage is. So apologies for the ball tickle, that's going to come next time though. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you find this new sort of sideline of fixing other people's cars to be somewhat interesting. We're going to be doing a bit more diversity obviously in Tools and Track, so stay tuned for that. Still doing a low cost, still doing the Impreza, Still doing everything else, frankly. Still doing the Patreon content as well on the Patreon site. So nice and busy, exhausted, frankly. But hope you are enjoying it, guys. All the Patreons running up the side of the screen. Thank you very much for your support. Can't really do much of this without you. So if you want to be as awesome as that, patreon.com/toolsandtrack and help a brother out. If that's not for you, cool, I get it. Smash the like and subscribe and all that jazz. It's the only way we grow. And if that's not for you either, cool. I appreciate you watching. I hope you watch some more. Until the next time though, guys, drive safe. Bonus Craig material. Man hates the camera. Look at him. Earplugs and a mask on and he's still no camera.
It's no Craig.